Alright, welcome down everybody watching. This is going to be another Alpha Sharks overview, and today we will also be doing another giveaway. I'm going to give it some time for some people to jump in here, and we will get started. All right, welcome those watching outside of the Discord. This is going to be another Alpha Sharks overview. We'll be going over the view, going over the trend page, and going over any questions that any of the Alpha Sharks holders in the live stream. If they have any questions, we'll be going over that as well. So let's actually jump right into that. Cool. All right. So first things first, we're going to end up on our trending page. And one thing I do like to do, if you've been in here for a few sessions, we kind of do this every time we jump into it. I like coming into the overall trend page and checking out the 24-hour time frame here, because I want to get an overview of what's quote unquote normal for the day, again, which is on this 24-hour time frame. So right here, we're looking at a few metrics, and a few of the ones I'm looking at are going to be volume, amount of sales, and I like to pair these two together, percent listed and unique holder ratio. These three columns are going to give us a better indication of just looking at a floor price itself, because the floor price is based on each individual column that we kind of have highlighted here. So one thing we do on Sharks End is, as of right now, whenever we're going on each individual time frame, we are going to be ascending by sales. As of right now, you cannot filter by any of the other, I guess, stats, but we will be getting a portion where we will have our own page to kind of do all of this. That's going to get really interesting as well. But as opposed to looking at just the amount of sales, one thing I take into consideration more over sales themselves is going to be volume, because the amount of volume that comes into a collection is going to give us a better indication of how strong that demand is actually coming in. Notice here we can have 6,000 sales. We can have the most sales possible, but look at the floor price on that, as opposed to look at the amount of ETH volume we did here. We did 50 ETH volume traded, but notice down here we had way less sales, but a higher floor price, and thus giving us a lot more demand coming into this project in particular. So this is why I like to filter and kind of like to look at projects that have lots of volume on the 24-hour time frame, and I like seeing major volume on 24 hours and then seeing if we can pick it up on smaller time frames as we go along, because what this would be telling us is that it has demand overall on the day. We know that, but if we start seeing this on a 1 hour, or if we start seeing it on like a 5-minute, this could be telling us that there's still potential momentum for the project that we're actually looking at to continue, because it's not only trending on a whole day's perspective, it's also trending on a few other time frames. So let's actually jump in to see what's quote unquote normal for volume. So up here we can see we have 50, 70, and 44. So we're kind of ranging within that 60 ETH range. So that's quote unquote somewhat normal. Then we notice the one right below. 8.2 volume on the day is not going to be something very significant as opposed to what we were just checking out, which is again going to be about an average of 60 ETH volume traded. But then let's actually go down to see again what's quote unquote normal. So we have 60, 87, which is a little above the average that we're looking up here. So we definitely want to keep an eye on something like this. Street Machine with 164 ETH. Notice the amount of ETH volume traded blows out every other project that we're looking at on this column. So 50 ETH, 77, 87, and then 163. That's pretty much doubling the actual amount of volume that's coming in for most of the projects that are on the 24-hour. So I like to go down and scroll down to see if there's any other projects that have very prominent volume traded. So Nile lens is something to keep an eye on as well, because we're almost pushing that 100 ETH volume traded on the day. Let's see what else we got. YOLO Fantasy with 72 ETH volume traded. So if we start to see these end up on smaller time frames, again, we're going to want to potentially take a look at them to see if they're going to be still in play. So not seeing much after the first screen that we actually had. So again, if we start to see other projects with prominent volume that we're seeing on the 24-hour, if we can start to utilize that on a smaller time frame, let's say like a 1 hour. Again, this is going to give us a good indication of the projects that are still potentially in play. So again, let's go through our volume column here to see what's quote unquote normal for the 1 hour time frame. Now we know for the 24-hour is about 70 to 100 plus ETH. That was something we want to keep our eye on. But now that we're in a smaller time frame, less data is being calculated. So the amount of volume that we're looking for is going to be significantly different. So pretty much doing kind of the same breakdown. One thing I noticed right here off the bat is double-digit ETH, and it is off of one of the projects that we saw in the 24-hour. So right now I'm just kind of scrolling through and trying to see the ones that have some significant ETH volume, and I'm trying to see if we recall seeing these on the 24-hour time frame or a bigger time frame that we're looking at. Because these are potentially ones that we want to take a look at as they could potentially still be in play. So we did end up seeing, I'm not sure if we saw Genuine Undead on the 24-hour, but I do recall seeing Street Machine and Platinum Primates on the 24-hour. So those are two to definitely keep an eye on as of now. And if we see Genuine Undead on smaller time frames, then we could potentially be looking for a continuation on that as well. And same thing, let's just scroll down just in case we see anything else with very high ETH volume traded. Right here you got Psychedelics Anonymous with 7.7, which is anything above 5 right now in the 1 hour is pretty solid. And down here, ooh, Llamaverse Genesis with 13.3 ETH volume traded. Obviously I'm a little biased on this one, but definitely want to check out as well. 1% listed, double NBCP. That's definitely something to keep an eye on as well. So let's jump into something like a smaller time frame, something like a 15-minute now. And let's actually undo those columns and see again what's quote unquote normal for the 15-minute on the volume chart. And right now I'm seeing again one of the ones that we're seeing across the board, which is Platinum Primates with 1.2. Notice everything else is kind of way below that. We're not, except Farm by Pixels, we're getting 5.12 ETH volume traded in the last 15 minutes. So definitely want to keep an eye on as well. And then some others we actually seen on the bigger time frames, Nylons and Street Machine as well. So I think we kind of got a good idea of what we're kind of looking at. I think Platinum Primates and the Street Machine are some of the two most prominent ones that we're seeing across all time frames. So I kind of want to focus more on those today. But I did want to ask the question if anybody was inside of any of these trades or any of these projects that we're looking at. And if you guys wanted me to go over a specific project, if you do, you guys can speak up now or you guys can type in the chat. Okay. I'll go over Street Machine first. Where is it at? There it is. Okay. STM locked. Okay, so this is going to be Street Machine, one of the ones that we're checking out across multiple time frames. So it's actually break down kind of what's happening, I guess more on a zoomed in perspective for the project. So I know this metric here is skewed because Street Machine had I believe it was a burning mechanism of some sort, or something to get their unrevealed PFP. So I'm assuming this number is botched a little bit. But ideally, we do want to kind of take in consideration our owner to supply ratio. The more owners to supply there is means the less supply there is to kind of be released on the secondary. And on a seller's perspective, if you have less of the numerical value of NFTs, saying like you only have one or two as opposed to 10 plus, it's on a seller's side, it's a lot easier to hold on to those one or two as opposed to holding on to all 10 plus if you were trading that much. So this number we do want a bit higher, but again, I think this is a little botched due to the burning mechanism. Next percent I want to go over is MBCP. This is a very, very, very important number that we have to keep an eye on. MBCP is going to be next blue chip probability, and basically what that's considering is what we consider blue chip projects to actually jump inside of the project that we're looking at. So right now we're looking at Street Machine. It's saying about when we go into the holders, these are notable holders. These are not directly correlated to blue chip, but give us a solid idea of who could potentially be inside the MBCP. So notice we're going to have the amount of wallets and the amount of the NFTs that those wallets are holding of the project that we're looking at. So again, ideally you want more wallets and more NFTs held, as opposed to something like this where you have very small wallets with more supply. Because what's that telling us? These 14 wallets, when this actually, if it does start to retrace and go in the direction that they want it to, it's probably very likely that they're going to de-risk at that point. And again, that goes back to looking at our owner supply ratio. If we have high owner counts with smaller amounts of numbers of tokens that they actually own, it's harder for them to release that NFT that they're actually holding, and potentially even gets them to buy more at that point. So MBCP is a huge number to look at because it's not only a technical number that we're looking at, it is also a social indicator, because not only are the people that are inside the project blue chip holders, but think about the audience and the social reach that these people can get as a collective. So anything with where you're pushing 5, 7, 10, 15% MBCP, pushing 20%, that's when you can start seeing potential swing plays happening over time. In this case, I know we had the kind of run up prior to, I guess, the burn or the reveal. So let's see what had actually happened right there. Who asked that question? Was it Crazy Spooks? Crazy Spooks. You said you were in here in Street Machine. Do you mind me asking your entry? 0.28. Okay, so somewhere around here. Ah. Yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah, right now, I think you had an accumulation of things, right? I believe with this project in particular, they had about, I think, 2 or 3 delays on their reveal, which kind of caused some pumps that we ended up getting. And I'm seeing a few kind of portions. So I'm just drawing these arrows to kind of indicate a range that we're kind of looking for. Because again, I'm a big believer in drawing trend lines. And I think that they can help you out a ton if you can figure the power of the price action that's actually happening. So these arrows that I'm drawing, they're main points that I'm looking at where the candlesticks are respecting or the price action is respecting these zones or these prices. So first the initial low, assuming this is initial mint out, then we get this run up until this high, and then we get a pullback, but then we actually retest this last high and actually break out of it. But what happens when we break out of that zone and then actually come back? Where do we come back to? We come back right to that support zone. It was prior resistance. We couldn't get through it, but then we finally broke through. And now what was resistance is now potentially becoming support. And again, that's why we draw trend lines so heavily, because this can help us see that visual aid of where the potential dip could actually be. I drew this big trend line, this white one coming across. You could have drawn that a few ways. You could have drawn that from up here and kind of seen the downward descending, or you could have drawn that from here, because technically it's still in trend. We still could have bounced right off that level, but one of the things that you ran into was this top trend line. And that's why drawing trend lines is very, 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 very key. Because right here we weren't really doing much. We're just reversing off of the levels and not holding the last support zones that we had tested as resistance. Like right here, we broke through that resistance, came back, and where did we retest? Right across this little trend line that we had. And once we snapped that, I mean, I don't think your buy was bad, to be honest. It just didn't work out in your favor. You didn't have the demand to continue coming in, because you ran right into just this resistance point and just couldn't get past that. Yeah, this is kind of odd. We're seeing price. Yeah, I mean, you're seeing price retract here while listings are going down. So there's some type of divergence that you're seeing there as well, which could be panic sellers, and we can see that by throwing on our listing by nature to see the people that are listing, what's kind of their sentiment, and using that near the zones that you're kind of buying near could help you kind of see the nature of the people actually listing. So whenever you get a green listing, or you look at this left-hand side and it's green, you'll see that it's actually an NFT that's listed for the first time. So if you see lots of greens on the first side, then that's indicating that that's healthy price action that's happening, because people are just trying to take profits at that point, as it's potentially listed for the first time. The issue you get into, though, when you start getting to something like a resistance point near like a trend line, especially something like this, you could have seen your listing by nature turn red at these points, and all these listings down here could have potentially indicated that these weren't listed for the first time. We're actually seeing that they were listed prior, and the new listing is actually lower than the first listing that was initially posted. So if you start to see back to back to back to back red listings that are coming in, it's likely because there's more holders trying to get out of their position. Again, going back to the owner supply ratio, if you're starting to see lots of reds, it's probably because they're trying to de-risk, and they probably have lots more NFTs to hold on to de-risk at that point. So looking at listing nature when you start getting to either support or resistance zones can give you a really good indication on if this has the power to continue, or if the sellers are actually taking control. But I can see how that one kind of I guess duped us a little bit, because this is divergence that's happening. If we're seeing listings go down and we're seeing average sales stay quote unquote normal, the price should be doing the opposite. So we are seeing some divergence right here, but yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I don't think that's a bad entry that you had. I just don't think it went in your direction. No, no worries, man. Just try drawing trend lines, man. I know it's super hard and it probably gets super messy, but if you can see points where candlesticks are starting to respect, I would just kind of draw them out, kind of like how I'm doing here. And oh yeah, you should. If you go into initially, if you jump into a project, it'll jump into AS expert mode, and you normally have floor and average lines on there. I just like to take them off. But if you click onto the trading view tab, you should get access to all of this as well. And it won't look like this off the start, but it'll be a bare bones kind of model of this. And yeah, drawing it, drawing these trend lines to see where, again, there's respect at candlesticks. Like I'm seeing a top zone, and then I'm seeing respect at this bottom candlestick. I'm seeing a top zone, and I'm seeing respect at that candlestick. I mean, it's kind of infinite, right? Like there's respect at this zone as well. We have a topping zone that we're coming up to. Then we also have another topping zone that we're coming up to, but we're also respecting the last support zone that we're holding. And just, it's a lot of, you're gonna be drawing a lot of lines here, but the ones that are most prominent are gonna be the ones that, where more candlesticks are respecting that zone. Because you have more price action and more demand coming in at those prices. And somebody has to take control, whether that's buyers or sellers, somebody has to take control. But yeah, as of right now, we're just in this downward trend until we can actually get some volume coming in. I'm liking this right now. I'm liking listings going down. We just need volume to come in here, which Yep. Yeah. These ones? Yes. So when you're seeing action like this on candlesticks, candlesticks are telling a story. So you're going to see some candlesticks have major, I guess, wicks like this. I mean, this is not a wick because we're on a 4-hour, but if you're seeing something like this, it's usually indicating that price action was trading at a higher price point. But what probably happened here, or what did happen here, is somebody fat fingered a listing, and it was probably multiple listings at this point, because the outlier that we put on, or the algorithm filter that we put on the charts, is to make the candlesticks look a little cleaner. Because notice if I turn this off, this is the true price action. There were sales at 32, 34 ETH up here on other platforms, but due to that reasoning, we don't want to calculate all of that information. I mean, we do, but we're trying to find points where most of the price action is actually calculated within these candlesticks. But when you're seeing long wicks like this, it's usually to the downside. You're usually seeing people fat fingering listings and people kind of picking that up at those prices. So it's a little harder to kind of draw your trend lines there. But if you see overall, like, again, like these huge wicks, like this one, this one, this one, even this one, this one, and this one, you kind of have to, be able to, I guess, look through that and like be able to draw your trend line right here. Yeah, because that could totally destroy what you're looking at. But yeah, it's gonna be a little harder right here because, again, we're already dealing with illiquid assets. But yeah, if you can try to kind of see through those and just understand what's actually happening, usually it's multiple indications of fat fingers that are coming in. Because if you look, like, what are we trading at right here? Almost 0.3. If you look down here, it's probably a sell at 0.03 because they were trying to get 0.3, but they messed that up. But yeah, I would go continue drawing trend lines. And if you haven't checked out the MACD sessions that we've had last week, I would definitely check those out because cool. Mm. Oh yeah, because this is telling us right here, this is giving us our momentum technically, right? We're seeing overall momentum within the last, what's this, 15 minutes, where we have amount of listings and amount of sales. But what MACD is calculating is it's a moving average of the price itself, and we're doing a faster oscillator, which is the blue one, and calculating a slower moving average of the MACD that we're calculating here. Whenever the faster MACD crosses the slower one, it's telling us that bulls are going to be in control. I mean, if we're going from bottom up, if we're going top down and we're crossing beneath that orange line or that slower oscillator, it's telling us that bulls are less in control and that they're actually losing momentum at that point. And why it's so helpful is because notice up here, if you're looking at your MACD and using that concept, it would have told you that, hey, bulls are losing the momentum right here. And they didn't gain momentum back until they tried right here, but then just ended up going right back down. And that directly correlated with price action. We got the little bump up and then we got the retrace back down. And then what did we do back? We wanted to come back and retest, but couldn't break our last highs. And then we just retraced back and down again. And then we tried to come back, retest it, and then again couldn't break past that last high. So initially we're just in a brand new trend as of right now. And until that MACD can give us a crossing, then that's going to give us indication where who's in control, buyers or sellers. So you definitely want to utilize that if you're trading momentum. Yeah. Good questions. Space Monkeys must go now, bro, but the offers are real. Enjoy it every time. Cool, appreciate you stopping by. Sherlock, is it possible to use standard pitchforks or not? I'm not used to using them in stock markets, but I found much success in NFTs. Standard pitchforks. I might be confusing my my dialogue. If you can go a little more in depth on that, Sherlock. Pitchforks or pivots? I'm not sure if you meant pivots. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, definitely don't be afraid to shoot them down. See if we got anything recently jumping since we last looked at the trending page. We got other side with 8.8 ETH coming in. Okay. Platinum primates, are they doing anything? Nope. Right below their mint price. Ouch. Yeah, so you're gonna want to right click and go to settings and then go to appearance, and then you can change that right there. Yeah. And then if you wanted to save that, like if you wanted to, like, you know how I pop up, my screen pops up and it's this just naturally. If you wanted to do that, you can go into this little top right portion by the little chart properties gear settings. You can click that and you can save your layout to whatever you want, and you can load that layout, or you can say multiple layouts and load those whenever you'd like. So let's say you wanted one like a black screen, or you wanted one with, like, I don't know, like other candlesticks or other colored candlesticks. You can save that as layouts and pull those up whenever you need. And for indicators, like let's say you wanted to pull your MACD like down here, initially your volume is going to be up top, but if you wanted to move it down like I have it right now, you'd want to go to the volume portion and then go to the three little dots and move to the pane below, and it'll take it down to its own little I guess section, where you can now double tap the chart and zoom in completely into the chart. If you double tap back out, you can see everything again, but you can also zoom into the indicators themselves while double tapping, which is pretty cool, just in case you're looking to just zoom in particularly for like volume, for whatever reason. But yeah, you'd also have to save those indicators as well if you're looking to kind of pop these up all the time. So like, let's say you didn't want to change the location of volume every single time. You just go into, you'd have your indicators template set, and then you'd go up to templates and you'd save that indicator template. So you can pull up your chart settings, but you can also pull up the indicators that you want on those chart settings, if that makes sense. Cool, good question. And not much on this platinum primates, even though they've had pretty decent volume on the one day. I see Sherlock typing, so we'll give him that time. Have a look at Genesis box. Sure, Genesis box. Is this Doodles? 24K. Jesus. Look at that NBCP though. It's a beauty. Alright. Sherlock. What were, ooh, guess I was drawing on this already. Okay. Look at that. I drew this about a month ago, I'm assuming. So you guys get to see this firsthand on kind of what the trade idea was. Shoot, I didn't even know I drew this. As of right now, we're kind of in that situation where we're testing this trend to keep continuing to the upside. Let me delete this real quick so it looks a little cleaner. Right here, we're holding potential trend, right? We have all these arrows, they're indicating higher lows at that point, which is telling us that buyers are paying premiums. So we're going to definitely want to be watching this. We have another higher low here, and we could technically still use this as well. So let's move our line back just a tad bit. And what we can see is actually, like, notice we're talking about our MACD crossing. Look at the higher lows that our MACD is creating. And again, this is telling us that when we're crossing above our slower oscillator, it's telling us that our buyers are actually in control of the momentum at that time. You can see that kind of never stopped until the 13th of October. You can see how that's kind of reacting off of the price action as well. It's running right back into that multi-day trend line, and we're trying to see if we're going to get that curling of the MACD to cross back over for bulls to take total control of the actual project itself. But yeah, this could be a potential dip buying opportunity, just not one I'd prefer, just because it was I guess you're putting more risk at this point, like with the higher lows that you've been creating. But I mean, if you can have solid risk reward here, like what are we at, 0.244, seeing if we can just hold again these last trend lines. If we break under here, then ideally we would be starting a new trend to that downside. Again, if we can't break past that 0.25 psychological, because also we'd be running into a top trend line at that point. So This is really interesting. The amount of listings that are here, I don't know if this is bots or not, but this is a huge jump from 1675 to 539 in 5 minutes. That doesn't sound right. But if this is true, I'm liking that the amount of listings are actually going down that far, even with the amount of supply that we actually have. And the other thing I'm looking at that kind of stands out is that MBCP pushing 40% is a wild number, but I mean we are calculating them inside their own MBCP, so that's definitely taken into account. Yeah, I would say if you're looking to get some type of dip buy on here, I'd kind of wait for the MACD to start giving us like a true indication that we're actually going to start curling here. Because as of right now, you're just stuck in this little accumulation range over the last about month or so. So yeah, watching this little range breakout of 0.3 or about 0.2, that's going to be the zone that we're going to be looking for a breakout of 100%. So looking either for 100% to the upside of the breakout, which would be about 0.37. But if we happen to break down, notice where this actually takes us to our bottom trend line down here to 0.1. But yeah, looking for a breakout of either direction right here. It's just kind of accumulating inside this range bound zone. But the longer the accumulation and the longer that this holds trend, the more ideal it is for it to accumulate for a bigger push up. But also knowing the fundamentals or the background of what the project is actually doing could probably give you an even better indication of how these technicals are actually going to work out. So hope I broke that down for you, Sherlock. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for. James, I'm trying to connect to Alpha Sharks, but my MedMask doesn't pop up. What can I do? If it doesn't pop up, sometimes it's on like the back screen where you have to like look behind the internet browser. Sometimes it pops up there like on another screen if you're using multiple. I would try that, but it should pop up. I don't think we've had any issues with that. Cool. Kind of cool to see drawings I had from months ago kind of work out, but that's the power of drawing these technicals, man, because again, they're not random. These things are not random. The price action where things get bought up and sold at, they're completely calculated. James, nope, satellites behind the screen. I would open a ticket potentially. We could try to help you out in there, brother. All right. Cool. Yeah, no worries. All right. I do see we have a ton of new faces here, so welcome down. If anybody has any questions, don't be afraid to come into the Educator chat and type out those questions, or if you guys would like to unmute your mic, you guys can do that as well. Just gonna keep this, I guess, as an open floor now. We are kind of pushing just about that hour mark, but yeah, if anybody has any questions, don't be afraid to shoot them down. Because again, if you have a question, there's probably a good probability that somebody else also has that question as well. See Lake typing. I need help setting up my view. What exactly? Like, what do you mean? To look like yours. Alright, let's jump through that because I do get a lot of messages on that. So I'm looking at something very bad, so let's first get out of that. Let's jump into Street Machine again because it had a little more liquidity. gonna jump into trading view, and can I put this back to default? Is there a way to do that? Let's take this out, move this back to existing pane above. Cool. All right. So initially, your chart should look something like this. Obviously, different colors and stuff like that, but nonetheless, you should have volume and you should have candlesticks. This should be the overall layout that we have. To customize it, first thing, I like to jump in here, and I don't like volume being crossed over with my chart price action. So I like to jump in here and change that to move to new pane below. And that's going to give me, again, a new pane for, I guess, that indicator to pop up in. So now I can separate price action and volume, which is definitely something I'm looking to do. After that, I like to add MACD. So you go into indicators, add MACD. You can keep it like that, that's fine. Lots of people run it like this. I just consolidate it myself because I like looking at price action. I'll put this into my volume portion, which again is something just for space that I kind of utilize. And yeah, that's that portion. To get to the color coordination, all you do is right click, go to settings, and go to appearance, and you can change your background colors to, initially it's like gray or something like that. I just put it to black because it's just better on my eyes that way. Yeah, you can go through all these settings down here. Symbol, you can change the color of the candlesticks that you're looking at. Status line, you can change if you want to see all this information on top. You can put indicator labels on, indicator labels off. Yeah, I would mess around with the chart settings. It's not too crazy, not too many settings to jump around, but definitely a good visual aid for people to use. Genuine Undead, yeah, we were talking about that one earlier, right? Where are they at right now? Genuine, there it is. 0.55. Yeah, man, these things have been on a lot of my live streams. I want to say like 40% of the time, Genuine Undead pops up on training page somehow, some way. Jesus, didn't know that they hit that high, 0.8. Geez, so first thing I'd be doing is going into the 4-hour. Again, drawing my trend lines. That's just something I just do by nature, just because I see how powerful the trend lines are actually are to the project itself. Like, notice I just used these two top points, and this was back from August to September, the beginning of September. But look how crazy these actually correlate months later. And that's why, again, drawing just a single trend line could be huge. Because again, remember, prior resistance turns into intermediate support until it's not. And we can see kind of why that's happening here. And notice right where we're at right now, bouncing right off of that level. Pretty interesting, but we're actually seeing this little, it's called a diamond pattern. It's a little diamond formation, a little flag. But this is a pattern looking for volatility. So you're looking for 100% of either way this goes. So either 100% down, that's not looking that great. It's about this 0.05 zone, but if you happen to break out, looking for that 1 ETH, 1.15 ETH around that zone. And what's intriguing me right here is the MACD on the bigger time frame. You can, yeah, I'm telling you, man, I don't teach you something I don't use. It's It's a very powerful tool. But if you can, I want to see Genuine Undead come out with some type of news or some type of catalyst because, I mean, their MVCP doesn't look too bad. 11% is very solid for a, I mean, I guess a natural, I'll call it a natural project because I haven't really seen anything like artificially pumped by Genuine Undead. But yeah, this pattern is just asking for volatility here. And one major thing I'd be looking at is the amount of listings coming in. And again, the momentum or the demand that's following that. Are we getting listings that are going to keep going up with less demand, which is going to bring our price down? Or are we going to get less listings coming in and we're going to start seeing that demand come in, which is why I want to see that that news catalyst to kind of give it that extra, I guess, kickstart, you'd call it. They have an AMA coming up, that would be a catalyst. Yeah, it can be. I'd want them. I want like a real catalyst. I mean that could be a real catalyst if they actually announce something inside there that they weren't kind of expecting. But I'm looking for something like usually partnerships with like a big, I guess other company or a brand, kind of that those do really well. Or if you get like an influencer tweet or something like that. There's just so many different ways to create that catalyst. They just got to pick one. With the metaverse company. Okay, that'll be interesting. Do you happen to have that link by any chance? So you can stop by and listen to that because this could definitely be a play. As long, I mean, even here, we're still kind of holding this bottom trend as well. We're way past that, but I'm liking this overall trend line because I think that's kind of our over-under number. Just going to be 0.42, 0.4 around that zone. If we kind of just stay within 0.4 and 0.3, that's kind of just going to get more range bound. We want it to stay above 0.42 and ideally push past that 0.5. Oh, wait, what is this? Oh, these are the, there you go. Lake. Yeah, if you can send me that, that'd be awesome because I definitely want to check that out. Yeah, watching this is going to be really interesting because, I mean, the sellers have been in control for, this is October 17th, down until now, so about 2 weeks. So if we can actually get, again, some type of news or some type of catalyst to get people interested and to potentially delist, that can definitely help out the price action in Genuine Undead. Cool. Yeah, that's some great questions. Some great projects that we're bringing up too. Anybody realizing we're starting to get a little more liquidity? Because there's lots of different projects that are kind of flowing through. It's kind of ranging from older projects to even these newer ones as well. Cool. But yeah, if anybody had any other questions, don't be afraid to ask. We are coming up on the 1 hour mark. But yeah, I definitely want to get everybody's questions answered. If there's something that I didn't touch up on in this AMA, we will be hosting another one of these tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. Eastern. Again, we will be updating if that's inside our Discord or if that's outside of another Discord. But I see some people typing, so I'm gonna give them their time. Could we do live drops together? Yeah, if you have something that you're looking to, like, if something that's minting out that has like hype or something that's like going to reveal, if I'm available, definitely just ping me. I'm more than happy to come in here and start streaming. I'm usually in Llamaverse doing that, but if you guys are looking for initial like questions or kind of live feedback, definitely shoot me a ping, and we'll try to get those set up for the ones that have a little more demand in them. Because I think those are I think those are kind of I think that's one of the best ways to learn is like hands-on, which is why I kind of form the sessions around live plays, because it's easy to see things kind of on the once they've already happened. That's why I kind of like looking at 24-hour, 1 hour, 15, 5 to see if we have a live play, and then I initially try to go into that, because again, there's definitely more experience to be picked up while you're watching the actual trades live. Has anyone heard of low effort? Low effort is minting, you said? Where are we at? Not seeing that. My dad, yeah, I find it entertaining. Everyone in AS sniping rares together. Yeah, most def. Yeah, if there's a drop that you're looking for, I guess, hyped project that has like a reveal coming up or something like that, don't be afraid to tag me, and I'll try to do my best to, as long as I'm available during that time, I'm more than happy to come in here and live stream that, especially live stream thoughts. But yeah, not seeing any other questions, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. Again, thank you for everybody coming out today. Now, you guys don't have to be here. We do appreciate everybody that has actually came in here and is actually asking questions and trying to give feedback on the tool itself. We do try to take all the feedback from these sessions to try to incorporate into some of the updates that we're going to have coming out. So again, if you guys have any suggestions, comments, concerns, anything, definitely right now is the time to kind of drop those in. Again, we do have another session tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. Eastern. Be on the lookout for Educator Sessions chat, and that will be updated most likely tonight. And we do also have a giveaway today. It's going to be the same one via Twitter. Let me get the link real quick. If you guys could tweet one takeaway that you had from the session, whether it was good, bad, any criticism, anything you think we can do better. If you can tag myself and Alpha Sharks inside of that tweet, you guys will be entered inside the giveaway for today. So yeah, anything that you guys have taken from this session, if you guys can put it in there, that'd be awesome. And don't be afraid to knock me if you guys don't think this is great, because, or knowledgeable or educational, because I'm trying to get better as we go on for these sessions and trying to provide value to everybody that shows up. So we really appreciate that feedback and really appreciate you guys coming down. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for today, but really appreciate the questions and all of you guys taking the time to come out to the session today. But that's going to be it for this session. And again, if you guys can get those tweets in, you guys will be entered inside the giveaway. And if I don't see you tomorrow at the session, I will catch you guys next week. Or if you guys have any anything you guys want me to look at, or you want to ping me for any initial thoughts, or if you have charts you guys want me to kind of check out, don't be afraid to DM me, ping me. Everything's open, my Twitter, Discord, everything. So one click away. If you guys need any help, don't be afraid to reach out at all. Cool. No worries, man. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one. May your guys' bags be pumped.